Urgent. In September 2017, the Uruguayan government alerted the public to a terrifying new threat. They painted a picture of a cyber extortionist holding critical infrastructure hostage, characterizing him as a nation-state level threat. His name was Alberto Daniel Hill. Heavily armed tactical police raided his home in the dead of night. The Ministry of the Interior immediately launched a highly publicized media circus, framing the operation as a decisive victory against a digital mastermind. But the evidence paraded before the cameras told a very different story. Investigators proudly displayed items like an anonymous Halloween mask, presenting a mass-produced plastic toy as the central piece of a high-tech crime investigation. The technologically illiterate police seized physical, novelty Bitcoin tokens. They meticulously cataloged these decorative metal coins as definitive proof that Hill was laundering digital cryptocurrency. The prosecution's core accusation was severe. They claimed Hill hacked a medical provider and demanded a massive Bitcoin ransom to stop the release of confidential HIV-positive patient records. There was just one fatal error in their primary piece of evidence. The ransom note demanded payment, but left the cryptocurrency wallet address completely blank. Without an address, there is absolutely no way to pay a ransom. The authorities had substituted basic digital literacy with sensationalist fiction. This narrative of a criminal mastermind collapsed under its own weight, exposing a severe systemic failure within the justice system itself. To understand how Hill ended up in handcuffs, we have to look back 3 years earlier to 2014. The origin of this massive hack was entirely mundane. While simply trying to help someone log into a medical portal, Hill discovered the system's credentials were set to admin for both the username and the password. With one keystroke, he accidentally gained full administrative access to the health and financial records of 200,000 patients. Hill did exactly what an ethical hacker is supposed to do. He immediately drafted a formal email to CERT Uruguay, Uruguay's National Computer Emergency Response Team, detailing the catastrophic vulnerability and providing his own IP address to prove his identity. Years later, when the medical provider actually experienced a security incident, the justice system completely ignored this documented paper trail of ethical disclosure. A vulnerable hospital database is a security failure, but a justice system that arrests the person who reports it represents a much deeper structural collapse. The authorities chose to prosecute the individual who identified the flaw, rather than addressing the flaw itself. The resulting legal proceedings bordered on the absurd. The official Interpol warrant used to authorize the raid on his home didn't even have his correct name on it, listing him as Alvaro instead of Alberto. Despite the lack of evidence, the judge denied bail using a highly specific, impossible justification. She ruled that Hill's technical skills were so advanced he could mentally alter digital evidence stored on remote servers directly from his jail cell. He spent 8 months in pretrial detention for a crime he didn't commit. The extreme psychological stress of this wrongful imprisonment physically broke him, eventually sending him into a severe 3-hour coma. While Hill's life was being dismantled, the investigators were actively destroying their own case. They powered on Hill's seized network-connected cell phones, completely contaminating the digital chain of custody and erasing any chance of a transparent investigation. Hill's imprisonment for mental hacking illustrates a system that punishes technical expertise simply because the authorities fear what they cannot comprehend. By locking him away, they demonstrated a total inability to distinguish an ethical disclosure from a crime. Following his release, Hill refused to remain quiet. He channeled his experience into what psychologists call post-traumatic growth, weaponizing radical transparency to hold institutions accountable. He transformed his public profile on X into a real-time cyber oracle. He openly tracked ransomware groups, dissected their extortion tactics, and exposed the deep systemic rot inside Latin American digital infrastructure. He began issuing stark public warnings about Uruguay's mounting national cyber debt. He specifically predicted catastrophic ransomware attacks on major institutions, like the Banco Hipotecario del Uruguay and the ANEP educational platform, years before they actually happened. This timeline chart plots Hill's early public warnings directly against the actual dates of the system collapses. As you can see, his predictions regarding the BHU and ANEP breaches achieved a 90% accuracy rate, standing in stark contrast to the continuous institutional denial. Hill reclaimed his narrative from the state. By meticulously documenting the flaws that governments tried to hide, he proved that immutable data ultimately overrides state-sanctioned fiction. By 2026, Hill's focus expanded from the security failures of one region to the risks emerging within the global AI landscape. He officially applied to XAI, pivoting from traditional cybersecurity to the cutting edge of artificial intelligence safety. In his application, he reframed his time under government surveillance as elite survival training against a nation-state adversarial campaign. He offered a highly specific set of skills for the AI ecosystem. His background in building blockchain forensics tools translates directly to securing large language models against complex data poisoning and real-world exploits. Large language models, or LLMs, are advanced AI systems trained on massive datasets to understand and generate human-like text. Alberto Hill's journey from a prison cell to an AI threat hunter demonstrates exactly what is required to secure our most powerful technologies. The ultimate defense against both rogue code and corrupt institutions is a relentless pursuit of the truth.